Welcome in, everybody. Ready for a deep dive into Bhakti-Yoga? We'll be exploring it through excerpts from Swami Vivekananda's work.
You know what's really interesting about Bhakti Yoga? It's this intense love and devotion it emphasizes to God, or as Vivekananda puts it, Ishwara.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
It does feel different from some other paths, right? Less about strict practices and more about a deep personal connection, you know?
you got it. It's
Yeah.
not like Jnana-Yoga, which is all about knowledge,
Right, right.
or even Raja Yoga.
With its focus on
Yeah,
meditation.
yeah, exactly. With Bhakti Yoga, it's all about the heart.
So less thinking, more feeling.
Yeah. It's about a love so profound, so deep, it becomes the reward itself.
You know, Vivekananda actually says it's a search that begins, continues, and ends in love.
Ooh, I like
Oh.
that.
Well,
But okay, so if it's all about love for God, then who is this God? Like, it seems pretty abstract, right?
that's where Ishwara comes in. It's this personal aspect of Brahman. You know, Brahman, the ultimate reality. It's the part our minds can actually connect with. So is it like a separate God then? Or just a different way of understanding the divine?
It's not separate, no. It's more like the highest way Brahman shows itself,
Yeah.
like the most approachable and lovable form, making it the perfect focus for bhakti.
I see, that makes sense. But doesn't this kind of run into the whole like anthropomorphism, giving God human qualities?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And Vivekananda brings in Kapila's philosophy to address that.
Oh, yeah.
Kapila said it's natural for us to see God in human-like ways. It's just how we relate to the world.
Right. It's like we're trying to fit this huge concept into our limited human experience.
Exactly. So even though we may never grasp the full reality, Ishwara gives us something tangible to focus our devotion on.
I get it. So we've got the heart, the love, and now Ishwara. But Vivekananda talks about a guru too, right? He says books aren't enough for real growth.
He does. He's very clear on that.
Yeah.
He thinks you need more than knowledge. It's about transmitting energy from one soul to another.
Like a spiritual conduit or something. I can see that. But are there like certain qualities or something that both the student and teacher should have?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
For the student, it's got to be purity, thirst for knowledge,
Right.
and tons of perseverance.
Right. You're not getting anywhere without those.
No way. And for the teacher,
Yeah, for the teacher.
they have to live the scriptures, you know.
Like embody them, not just quote them.
Yeah. Be sinless
Right.
and truly want to guide others selflessly.
It's like, okay, you can know all the words, but if you don't get the meaning and live by it, how can you guide anybody?
Exactly. Vivekananda has this great analogy. He compares some religious folks to people counting leaves in a mango orchard.
Oh, wow, I like that.
So focused on the details, they miss the fruit.
Totally. Easy to get lost in the technical stuff and miss the point completely.
Right. Remember to enjoy the sweetness, not just analyze the tree.
Love that.
Oh.
Okay, so we've got Bhakti Yoga with its love for Ishwara, guided by a guru who truly embodies the teachings. But what about mantras and symbols? Where do those fit in?
Ah, mantras. That's where things get really interesting. Remember how we talked about the universe manifesting through name and form?
Yeah, Namarupa, right.
Yes. Well, mantras are kind of like sound symbols, you know, vibrations packed with spiritual power.
Oh, so they can actually connect us to that energy.
Exactly. And the big one, the most important, OM. It's the primal sound, the vibration the universe sprang from.
Wow. So not just a word, but like a sonic representation of Brahman itself.
That's it. A powerful symbol of oneness. Helps us merge our individual consciousness with the cosmic one.
Incredible. But what about other symbols and images? Some traditions use deities and stuff. What about those?
Good question. That's where pratikas and pranamas come in. Pratikas are like symbolic representations,
Okay,
while pranamas are more like images or idols.
I see. So they're tools to focus our devotion.
Exactly. They give us a focal point for love and reverence. But Vivekananda warns us not to confuse them with the ultimate reality.
Right, like don't focus on the finger pointing at the moon instead of the moon itself.
Perfect analogy. The symbol is a guide, not the destination.
I see. It seems like Bhakti Yoga involves letting go of a lot of attachments then. Vivekananda even talks about renunciation. Doesn't that clash with all this love?
That's a great question, and it highlights something special about Bhakti's approach to renunciation. It's not about forcing yourself to give things up. It's about those desires naturally fading as love for God grows.
Oh, so like a side effect of deepening devotion instead of something you force.
Exactly. Think of it like this. When love for God gets really strong, it's like this bright light that makes everything else less appealing.
I see. Like trading a bustling city for the quiet countryside.
Yes, the city's still there, but the peace and beauty of the countryside are just so much more captivating.
So basically, our priorities change over time.
Exactly. It's an inner shift.
Mm.
Renunciation just happens effortlessly, not through some big struggle.
Beautiful. But I'm curious about this para-bhakti, this supreme devotion. What does that even look like? Like, what are the signs of this ultimate love?
Bhakti is like the peak of love, total self-surrender and oneness with the divine.
Uh,
Imagine a love so powerful it just erases any separation between lover and beloved.
wow. Like total immersion. But how does that actually play out? What does someone experiencing that actually do?
Well, a Bhakta sees everything, even the bad stuff, is coming from God.
Oh,
They
wow.
just accept it all. It's what Vivekananda calls apratikulia.
Apratikulia.
Yeah, where everything is seen as a manifestation of the beloved God.
So it's like accepting everything that comes your way as a gift from the divine.
Yes, radical acceptance and oneness, seeing God in everything.
That's some deep stuff. But how do you even start to cultivate that kind of all-encompassing love? Like, are there different ways bhakti can show up?
Absolutely. Bhakti-Yoga writers talk about 5 forms of love manifestation, 5 different ways to connect with the divine.
5 forms. Okay, this is where things get interesting. Tell me more.
Okay, so the first one is Shanta Bhakti. It's all about peace and tranquility,
Interesting.
a very calm, steady kind of devotion, often linked to meditation and deep thought.
So it's more about finding that inner stillness with God, not so much about the ecstatic stuff you often hear about.
You got it. Think quiet reverence. Then there's Dasya Bhakti. This one's all about service to God.
Service to God. What does that actually look like, though?
It's about seeing yourself as a humble servant, dedicated to carrying out God's will, surrendering the ego, and doing everything for a higher purpose.
I can see that. So it's about finding fulfillment in those acts of service, seeing everything you do as an offering.
Exactly. Shifting the focus from what I want to serving something bigger. Then we have Sakhya Bhakti. This one focuses on friendship with God.
Friendship with God. That's a nice thought. It makes the divine feel so much closer somehow.
Right. Imagine having God as your closest friend, someone to confide and share your ups and downs with, someone who just gets you.
So it's about intimacy and connection then, not just reverence.
Yeah. It's a more personal way of relating to God. Next up is Vatsalya Bhakti. In this one, the devotee sees God as their child.
Okay, now that's a new one. It seems kind of strange though, right? Seeing this all-powerful being as a child.
It might sound weird, but it's about that nurturing, protective love,
Hmm.
like a parent for their kid.
Oh, so it's a gentler kind of love. Not seeing God as an authority figure, but someone who needs care.
You got it. Setting aside the awe and reverence for something softer. And finally, we have Madhura Bhakti. This one is like the most intense, passionate kind of devotion.
Madhura Bhakti. Intense, huh? What makes it so different from the others?
All-consuming. You see God as your beloved, your soulmate. A love that goes beyond any boundaries. It takes over your whole being.
Sounds powerful. And probably really hard to actually experience.
It's definitely challenging, but the rewards are huge. It's the kind of love poets and mystics have been trying to capture forever. It's beyond words, really.
I can imagine. Words can only do so much.
Right. It's an experience that goes way beyond language.
So these 5 forms, they're like different paths, all leading to the same place. Union with God.
Exactly. Each one offers a unique way to connect. And the cool part is you don't have to stick to just one.
So you can explore them all, see what speaks to your heart.
Absolutely.
Right.
Bhakti Yoga is about finding that personal connection, that spark that sets your soul on fire.
Makes sense. You know, this idea of limitless love reminds me of that triangle of love we touched on earlier. What was that all about again?
Oh, yeah. The triangle of love. It's a really beautiful way to understand true bhakti. Each angle represents a key element. Love knows no bargaining. Love knows no fear. And love knows no rival.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. What does it mean for love to know no bargaining when we're talking about bhakti yoga?
It means our love for God shouldn't be about getting something back.
Okay.
No expectation of reward or personal gain. It's not a business deal.
So not about what can I get from God, but the pure joy of loving God just because.
Exactly. True bhakti is about giving your love freely, no strings attached.
It's like a pure, selfless outpouring. What about love knows no fear then?
Remember how we talked about fear coming from that feeling of separation?
Right, that sense of being a separate self alone in the world. And bhakti is about overcoming that, becoming one with the divine.
Precisely. When we truly love God, we're not afraid anymore because we realize we're already connected.
So it's about trust, surrender, knowing you're loved and protected.
Yes. Bhakti helps us let go of that fear, surrender to a love that's bigger than us, knowing we're safe and always connected, and then Love knows no rival. This one feels a little counterintuitive, though. Can love, especially one as strong as bhakti, really have no rivals?
I was thinking the same thing. If God's at the center, doesn't that mean other loves become less important?
Not really. It's more like when love for God is your top priority, everything else falls into place naturally.
Hmm.
They become expressions of that divine love instead of competing with it.
So it's not about replacing those other loves, but seeing them through a new lens.
Yes. True bhakti doesn't mean you stop loving your family, friends, or even nature. It's about recognizing the divine in everything. Think of it like an orchestra with God as the conductor and all those other loves as the instruments playing together.
I love that. It shows how bhakti can actually make our capacity for love even bigger. Helps us see how connected everything really is.
Exactly. It expands your heart and lets you experience everything in a much deeper way.
Wow, this is all so profound.
Mm.
But how does this triangle of love, this selfless, fearless, all-encompassing love, actually lead to that oneness with God? That's the whole point of Bhakti Yoga, right?
Well, Vivekananda says it's a gradual shift.
Okay,
You start by seeing God as separate. That's dualism.
right.
But through love and devotion, that separation slowly fades away.
Yeah.
He uses human relationships as metaphors to explain that.
I see. So we start by relating to God as someone outside of us, but then through love, that distance closes.
Exactly. It's like a dance, where you move closer and closer until you become one. Don't forget, Bhakti Yoga is about turning every emotion, every experience into an expression of love for God.
So it's not just about the rituals and practices, it's about weaving that love into your whole life.
Exactly. It changes you from the inside out. You become a vessel of love, a reflection of the divine. And when you reach that state of oneness, all separation disappears. That's when you experience the bliss of union with God.
That's beautiful, but for someone who's new to all this, it can feel a little abstract. How do you even begin to grasp it, let alone actually experience it?
That's the great thing about Bhakti Yoga. It's for everyone.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how much you know or where you are on your spiritual journey. It's a path of the heart, not the head.
So less about complex philosophy, more about that inner yearning for the divine.
Exactly. That longing is already there inside us. Vivekananda talks about how even simple practices can be really powerful. Chanting God's name, singing devotional songs, listening to stories of saints and mystics. It can all wake up that love within you.
So it's about finding ways to express that love, nurture it, let it grow.
Yes. As it grows, it naturally guides you to deeper experiences of connection and union. That's the essence of Bhakti Yoga.
This has been so insightful. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface, though.
We have. Bhakti Yoga is a vast ocean of wisdom and love.
Yeah,
But hopefully, we've sparked your curiosity.
definitely. Before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on something Vivekananda mentions about true bhakti transcending religion. Like it's not bound to any one dogma or belief system.
That's really important. At its core, Bhakti Yoga is about a universal love. It connects all of us to the divine.
So it's less about rules and more about an inner shift that happens when you open your heart.
Yes. True Bhakti sees that divine spark in everyone no matter what their background is.
It sounds like it could actually unite people from all walks of life.
Exactly. It goes beyond differences to that ultimate unity you find in all spiritual traditions.
This has been such a rich deep dive. We've covered so much from the basics to the profound experiences of love and renunciation.
We have.
Mm.
And hopefully we've shown how powerful Bhakti Yoga can be. It's not just a practice. It's a way of life.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a question.
Okay.
Vivekananda talks about this blessed madness of divine love.
Yeah.
That state where the lover merges with the beloved completely makes you wonder, could embracing this blessed madness, this all-consuming love, actually be the answer to the world's problems?
That's a powerful question.
Mm.
And I think it's one we each have to answer for ourselves.
True. And maybe as we explore Bhakti Yoga further, we'll find the answer isn't in our heads, but in our hearts.
It is. After all, Bhakti is a journey of the heart, a journey of love and transformation. Who knows what we'll find along the way? It really is something to think about. If everyone embraced that kind of love that dissolves all the selfishness and fear, could we actually make a better world, a more compassionate one?
It's a lovely thought, for sure. And it shows how Bhakti Yoga can be so transformative, not just for us as individuals, but for society as a whole. But I gotta say, this whole blessed madness thing could be taken the wrong way too, right? Yeah. Some people might even call it fanaticism.
Yeah, that's a good point. Vivekananda actually talks about that,
Yeah.
especially in those early stages of Bhakti when you're just starting out.
He warns against blind faith, right? And getting stuck in rigid dogma. He says that stuff can lead to intolerance and even
He
violence.
does. He's very clear that real bhakti goes beyond all that. It's a love that embraces everyone, sees the divine spark in every single being.
So it's about finding that balance then, knowing the difference between true love and those distorted versions that come from fear and ignorance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True bhakti engages both the heart and the mind. You have to cultivate that passionate love for God, but also develop the wisdom to express it in a way that's healthy,
Mhm.
liberating for you and good for the world.
That's a great point. It's not just about saving yourself, it's about becoming a source of love and compassion for everyone.
Yes. You're transforming yourself, but also helping to transform the world around you through the power of love.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Bhakti Yoga, let's hold on to that thought. Could embracing this blessed madness, this divine love, actually make us instruments of healing and change in the world?
It's certainly a goal worth striving for, and one that's at the heart of the bhakti path.
Yeah.
I hope our conversation today has inspired you to nurture that love within you and to share it freely with everyone.
Well, there you have it, folks, our deep dive into the fascinating world of Bhakti Yoga. We've learned that it's more than rituals and beliefs. It's a profound journey of transforming all our emotions and experiences into expressions of love for God.
And as you continue on your own journey, keep this question in mind. Could embracing the blessed madness of divine love be the antidote to the world's problems? Something to ponder as you explore the depths of bhakti.